Anyway, just a little bit of time to spare here, and quite obviously the talking point in racing, or the lack of racing really, over the past 4 weeks, a month and a little bit, of course, has been the equine influenza. Well, Lawrence Wadey, and myself, we've been forced to write numerous stories about it. I think we're a little bit the wiser, it must be said at this stage, and certainly we were 5 weeks ago. And I think really the question that most people have been asking, most people who follow the game avidly, Lawrence, is just what can we expect whenever the horses who are at this minute on the virus list actually come back into racing. Now tonight and in the January the 1st meeting at Happy Valley, we're expecting to be betting on and looking at horses who have not really been touched at all officially by the virus. They've been working through the month and they're fit, their form should be there, but what about it when the other ones come back? What should we be looking for?
Well, I think just a little bit of caution, but it's going to be a bit like creeping ivy. They're going to come back in dribs and drabs. You're not going to get a whole horde of virus previously infected horses coming into race. There'll be one or two in a race here and there. And I think the other thing is that some horses have been more badly affected than others, and those ones won't come on stream for quite a while. The horses that run earlier on were the ones that only showed mild symptoms. So providing that you've followed their track work and they've done enough work and they've trialled, I think a barrier trial is very important, then it shouldn't be, too different to the start of any new season.
I think the one worry, I think anyway, is that these horses who have been touched by it, or some of them have it, of course, had it worse than others, there is a fear that in fact when they come under hard racing pressure, they may not just see it through. And examples have been cited and quoted to me from other countries, even in fact in New Zealand, who don't have the virus, this particular strand that we know of here anyway, but they've had serious attacks of similar viruses before down there, and in other countries, and whenever they come under racing pressure, they don't see it through. Is that something we should be worried about here, Tom?
Yeah, I think that is a problem, Robin, and the horse that really springs to mind, to me anyway, is Kesem, the Invitation Cup winner going back a couple of years, because he went back home, and while he was being trained in either Australia or New Zealand, he contracted some sort of virus. The other problem here is that virus is such a catch-all phrase. There are so many different viruses, and sometimes horses are just out of form and it gets to be used by trainers almost as an excuse in some places. But anyway, Kesem is said to have raced once in Australia while carrying some sort of virus, and he never came back. He was never the horse that he once was. So there is that very real fear, and we'd be wrong to pretend not. But at least I think with this flu that we had, the Miami subtype 2, I'm not really sure, but I don't think so. I don't think it has this long-lasting and profound debilitating effect. I think it's a once and for all thing, and then they can come back on stream and race back to their full potential, providing they're given that period of rest and recuperation.
I think, mind you, I was quite shocked last night, or yesterday morning, in fact, when I was talking to Patrick Bianco on Ford Turf Talk, and he has expounded his views, in fact, on the virus, and he told me that he felt he had 6 horses that would never race again because of this virus. So clearly, I mean, some of them have had it very badly, and I think really we're probably talking a lot about Southern Hemisphere horses.
Because they haven't been exposed to that, they haven't got the natural immunity.
No natural immunity whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think Patrick also, Robin, spoke a fair bit of sense when he was talking about the virus, and he was expounding almost a Darwinian theory when he was saying, well, of course, the Class 1 and Class 2 horses, because they're naturally stronger, will come back better than Class 5 and Class 6. So that's something for punters to bear in mind as well. And, well, here's a Class 1 horse, Busy Win. He hasn't had the virus, and he looks pretty well, and this is one of the easier races. I use it easier in inverted commas, but one of the easier races that he's contested for some while. Doesn't quite have that real depth of Class 1 opposition that he's faced on his previous starts. He's going pretty well at the track, and he must be a big chance.
What about him, just one obvious question, what about him coming to Happy Valley in the 1650? I mean, his best fight. I don't think he's raced at Happy Valley before.
Well, he has always been really a Sha-Tin horse, but I think that's, Robin, because most of the best races are at Sha-Tin, and he's been one of the best horses in Hong Kong, over the last couple of seasons. Well, he's quite a sort of nuggety. He's not an over big horse. I think he'd be pretty well suited by Happy Valley. This is a very interesting horse, Northern Celadon, the English import, expensive purchase, bit of quality back at home. He was really up there in group standard, and well, he could be a very, very useful acquisition for the David Hill stable. Probably need the race tonight, and he'd definitely, whatever he does this evening, he'd be better for it in the future, and well, he could develop into a Derby proposition. That was Cadbury who just went through screen, Laurie Found's horse. He's another horse who's a bit of a tip around the pace, but for me, he's not really working as well as he has done in the past.
Peace Gallery, I think very much, trained by Patrick Bacon, ridden by Gerald Mosse, who are certainly enjoying the resumption of racing tonight. Peace Gallery, very solidly in his favour, would be the fact that he is a course and distance winner last start. He has, of course, come up now into much tougher company, but he did win extremely well. And when you're talking about Happy Valley in particular, that does mean a lot. If you can handle this track and win well here, you must really be strongly considered, even given that he has gone up significantly, in fact, in class. But Peace Gallery, and one can only say that the Biancone stable very, very much in form at the moment. And number 5, Peace Gallery, Gerald Mosse riding, would have to be definitely considered a chance in this final event tonight. The last event before Christmas. I do hope you've managed to get something in the way of money off the programme tonight. Well, certainly there's been a couple of shocks, but other couple of races have gone fairly well to form. This is Satisfaction, who's at any old odds, 70 to 1. I think that clearly does indicate total lack of stable confidence in him. I do think he's going to be a lot better for the run. This fella's in the market, Great Admiral. I wasn't absolutely convinced. He's at 7 to 1 now from an opening quote of 6 to 1. I wasn't convinced that this would actually be his goal, Lawrence.
No, Robin, I like the horse, and I remember we tipped him here to win actually 2 races in a row. But well, for me, he has yet to really recapture the form, particularly in the mornings, that he was displaying before notching that double last season. And well, I'd just like to see him race another time, but I really don't think he's at his peak yet.
That's Great Admiral we were talking about, and he's followed along by California Prince, Wong Tang Ping. He's at $83.70, and I reckon that represents pretty fair value as well. California Prince, he had a puzzling campaign last season. He won a couple. I think significantly he won it the very first time of asking last season as well. He's certainly done a power of work for his seasonal debut here, and California Prince, on his best form, would have to be given a very, very major chance in this. So he certainly does make appeal on an each-way basis, I would think.
Robin, I think he's a very, very good price. He definitely appeals as value to me, because I think there's a few horses in here who won't be winning. I don't think they've either done enough work. And this is a horse in particular, Grey Linnet, or they're not really at their peak, and you know, there might be other distance requirements, or they're going up in the weights, or they're going to need the race. But I think California Prince, he's a nice improving horse. He's done a stack of work, he's going well, and he's at decent odds.
Just referring back actually to Northern Celadon, Lawrence, he was trained in England by Richard Hannon, who's of course the champion trainer over there this year. And we'll talk about Northern Celadon a little bit more when we come back. That's him actually just moving off screen, followed along by Cadbury, who's very solidly in the market indeed tonight. It's the 6th and final event, the last race before Christmas, and we'll be back for it after the break. And welcome back for the final event. You're looking at the rather interesting Northern Celadon on the way to the start of the 6th and final event here tonight, the last race before Christmas. He's followed along by Peace Gallery. But I was going to mention about Northern Celadon before the break, Lawrence. He was trained in England by Richard Hannon, the champion trainer of the season just ended over there. I just wonder what you think of the, well, I don't know, it's a policy of actually buying horses out of the stable of champion trainers. I'm thinking, well, obviously in this case it's Richard Hannon, but in the past people like Henry Cecil, they tend to be pretty well used when they come here. So I'm just wondering, you know, how Northern Celadon might measure up on the scale of that.
Yeah, I think the way Richard Hannon trains is slightly different from Henry Cecil. Hannon's horses, they do tend to run a fair bit, although Northern Celadon isn't a horse that's been over-raced. But he doesn't train them that hard at home. He doesn't gallop them in the fashion that Henry Cecil does. Well, when Henry's horses work at Newmarket, when they work, they really work. It's almost like a little race going on. Richard Allen trains he's much more easy on his horses, and you look at them in the paddock, and he has a lot of runners at Brighton, which is my home track, and you look at them in the paddock and you're tempted almost to say that they're a little bit big. They carry condition, they're not overworked, they're very happy horses, and they're bomb-proof literally, because he trains on an army firing range. There's tanks all over the place. And he does also have a lot of winners with older horses. So I imagine that he's a pretty good person to buy a horse from.
Right, well, we're back to the sixth and final event, and that's Satisfaction, the grey just behind there. Wonderful World. Wonderful World trained now by Ivan Allen, reunited with John Marshall, who rode him to success, in fact, in a couple of races back-to-back early last season, in fact 7 days apart. Don't really think the 1650 at Happy Valley would be his go, but I reckon Ivan's getting him ready for something.
Well, Robin, at 50 to 1, I'd stick him into a tier spec, because he is a horse that goes well fresh. Wonderful World. And, well, again, this is a race where he's competing against horses of a lower calibre than he's raced against for some time. So I wouldn't be leaving him out of a tier just for, you know, $10 or something. Put him in, because I don't think Grey Linnet's got much of a chance. I don't think Great Admiral's really right. Satisfaction, he's getting there, but I don't think he's really on the boil yet. Peace Gallery, well, he probably won a weakish sort of race. He looks terrific, and he has worked well since, but this is a much more competitive sort of race. A lot of people fancy Cadbridge. I'm not such a fan of him.
Well, why are you not so keen on Cadbridge? That's interesting.
I've been a big fan of him.
I know that, yeah, I know that.
But I'm just not really...
But you've tipped him to win races that are much better than this.
Yeah, yeah, probably more for me, maybe, Robin. I'm just not convinced about his track work. I've just got a little nagging doubt there.
What about the last time? He ran on the Stewards' Cup last time behind Soundprint, right? And he just, I don't think, he just refused to settle, in fact, on that occasion. And he pulled himself out of it before they'd gone half a mile, right?
Yeah, he's visored today, but I just wonder that whether he wants any sort of those accoutrements. I don't think he really wants blinkers or a visor.
Well, he's very solidly in the market, and he has won. And I mean, we stressed this point before, when you do get course and distance winners at Happy Valley, it's well worth bearing them in mind. And I mean, this fella has in fact won over this trip here. So he's got that going.
Sort of there to be shot at for this statement, but I like California Prince at the odds, Robin, and I like Busy Win as well.
I must say,
Busy Win's a bit shorter price.
Yeah, you wouldn't get an argument out of me about California Prince, because as you very, very well know, he's been working the place down. I thought it was it was a good trial actually behind the French horse of Derry Cruz's group leader Tuesday a week ago, and he's just been working well for
I mean,
ages.
just looking at his times here in the paper, he ran a 56, then a 114, then a 113, then a 117, and he's also run second in a pretty searching barrier trial. And he is a horse that goes well fresh. He's always had lots of ability, even from his days as a Griffin. He's been winning races all the time. He's at good odds. And
they're going in, very much so, for the sixth and final event here tonight. We'll cross to Robert Geller.
And back to live action here for our Racing Night Live viewers at the last event. And well, Busy Win's gone up, and he's really got the raspberries here from the crowd. Tony Cruz, they've really got stuck into him, but I'm sure that with his years of experience he'll be turning a blind eye to that. And he's at 3 to 1 on Busy Win, the favourite here in the last race. Certainly the stable has missed out tonight so far, but there's one race to come, and we'll find out if they can manage to get a win up before the break. Now Cadbridge and California Prince about to link up, and they'll be sent away. Peace Gallery stands well. Grey Linnet has the inside gate. Now they're all locked up, set to go. Ready. Off in the last, jumped as one. Northern Celadon just has his head in front early from California Prince, and they move to the lead from Cadbridge, and on the inside Peace Gallery with Grey Linnet pushing right up. Northern Celadon just slightly checking California Prince at the judge, but going to the lead it's Grey Linnet. A neck to Northern Celadon, 1 1/4 Peace Gallery, and about a half to Cadbridge. Next California Prince, and on the inside E-Treasure, some real bumping going on. Cadbridge balked, and E-Treasure got checked, and he's still pulling hard and drops back to about 6th, passed by Wonderful World. Then Busy Win. E-Treasure still hasn't found his footing. A length to Satisfaction, who's second last, and last of all is Great Admiral. Now Northern Celadon by about a long neck, getting away from Grey Lynn at the rail, a length and a half away California Prince. Cadbridge, he hasn't settled all that well. Peace Gallery on the inside from Wonderful World. Busy Win moving up on the outer. A length away next came E-Treasure from Grey Linnet, and last with him is Satisfaction. Northern Celadon pulls to the front at the 600 or 700 from California Prince. Grey Linnet's gone. Wonderful World moves up on the outside to third. Busy Win closing with Cadbridge the centre. About a length away next to Peace Gallery, Satisfaction, E-Treasure, and last of all is Great Admiral. Only 4 lengths covers them. Northern Celadon by a long neck to California Prince. Wonderful World goes up the outside. Length and a quarter away Cadbridge, who's about to pounce. Then Grey Linnet and Busy Win not doing all that much at the moment as they corner. Northern Celadon first for the judge. A half to Wonderful World, California Prince, and now Cadbridge about to release the brakes. Wonderful World grabs a narrow lead. Cadbridge trying to level quickly with California Prince and Northern Celadon, but Cadbridge took over from Wonderful World at the 100. Battling back California Prince, Northern Celadon and Peace Gallery, but it's Cadbridge a half to Wonderful World trying to peg it back, but Cadbridge in front, drifting in, but one at a neck to Wonderful World. Peace Gallery got up to run third from Northern Celadon. Out wide, Great Admiral flashed home too late from Grey Linnet. Busy Win didn't fire, then California Prince, E-Treasure and Satisfaction last of all. Well, a nice finish by Cadbridge. He was always going to produce and eventually did. The thing about it was that in the early stages he didn't settle at all, and he's had trouble settling in his races, but Darren Gauci had a very strong hold on him the whole way around the track. He eventually got the lead. Wonderful World, the big surprise packet, but you'll find that he has won it. Cadbridge in the last race, number 4 first. Second, number 2, Wonderful World, and the official placing's about to be semaphored, and Peace Gallery will get third, number 5. Flashing home was Great Admiral, but too late, and he's run 4th. As we stand by for the 3rd and 4th placings, a photo, but Darren Gauci producing the goods on Cadbridge, number 4, by Pompey Court from Annie Day, owned by Lincoln Chi Wan Su, trained by Laurie Founds. So a double to both Laurie Founds and Patrick Biancon tonight. Laurie Founds produced Irene's Pet earlier in the night, which was written by Jackie Che. A difficult ride for Darren Gauci, but he managed it, and he got away in the straight to win it after a good tussle with Wonderful World second by Darshan from Medina, owned by Anthony Yipwai Kwan, a 5-year-old grey, trained by Ivan Allen, ridden by John Marshall. Perhaps he's getting back to his old self. If he is, he'll be a force, because he was a very promising horse, but he'd been very, very disappointing until tonight. And third to number 5, Peace Gallery by Tate Gallery from Ross Cree, a 4-year-old bay, trained by Patrick Biancon, but that's yet to come through. Gerald Mosse, the rider, and he's owned by Samuel Yao Ting On. A close photo for 3rd, 4th and 5th, because also there was Great Admiral out wide, and on the inside, Northern Celadon. It was a pretty hard run for him. He had to try and stave off the challenges from the early stages, but he's run a good staying race at his first time in Hong Kong. Of the beaten brigade, we had California Prince contesting the lead early. He's wilted close to home. Although Greyland was a beaten horse at the Rock, has stuck on again. And the abject failure, Busy Win, who really never got warm. So a very disappointing night. Blanks all around for the Cruise stable tonight. And the honours have gone with Laurie Founds and also Patrick Biancon. Satisfaction has run a distant last in the final race, but Cadbridge, he's been a very hard horse to settle in the last few races of this season that he's tackled. He has had the visor on for the first time tonight, blinkers off, and he does like Happy Valley, and he's won it 4, 2 and 5 officially now, with number 5 Peace Gallery getting the photo ahead of number 3 Northern Celadon, and Great Admiral has run officially 5th. So number 4 Cadbridge has always shown a lot of potential. It's taken a while, but he's made it 3 wins from 14 starts. Has won it by a neck, 3/4 between 2nd and 3rd. And, well, Darren Gauci will know he's ridden a race there. 14 wins for the season. And the race time to come, don't think it was all that fast. Northern Celadon was in front. And it'll be interesting to see if he's a horse that does normally lead or whether he usually drops out, because one tends to think that may not be his normal pattern of racing. If it is, he might need a bit shorter. But 1:41.6 is the winning time. And that's inside the class record held by Oriental Sovereign. It's a new class record, but earlier in the night we had 1:40.5 set in the 4th event, and that was a class 2 field, in fact, but they beat the class 1 record. Noble Dancer won that in a faster time. 4:25 in the last.
Yes, indeed, and our thanks to Robert Geller for calling them in the last meeting before Christmas, and a very happy Christmas indeed to Robert. Anyway, we're waiting for the dividends to become official, and well, certainly Wonderful World. He was at odds of 50 to 1, and you were certainly spot on there, Lawrence, because well, I thought he would be much the better for this and be getting ready for something else, but fair play, Ivan Allen, he had him nearly there, and well, as a result, an extremely good Quinella. Bit of, I thought just going, well, in fact, didn't think, Alan Munro almost came to grief, in fact, on E-Treasure.
Baptism of fire there for the young
very much so.
English rider. And just looked as if it possibly was Cadbridge who caused the interference, just sort of pulling and reefing a bit against the visor there, but it's very hard to tell. There could have been something, and I stress this, on Cadbridge's outside, very hard to tell from our view, side on. You really got to see it from all angles. I
think too, really, the point you made earlier, whether in fact there was something on his outside or not, the fact that he really was he refused to settle once again, right, and giving Darren Gauci a very, very torrid time indeed in the early stages. I do think that would have had something to do with the probably interference there.
In the circumstances, Robin, I must say, very, very good ride from Gauci, because he eventually did get the horse switched off, and well, Cadbridge, he's won pretty easily. In the end, he was really the winner from about 200 out. Not a bad run from the English import Northern Celadon on the inside. David Hill's horses, they always improve for the run. He's run a reasonable fourth, hasn't been given a hard ride from Basil Marcus, and I think there'll be a fair bit of improvement there. And Peace Gurry, he's confirmed he's up to the jumping class, but also just look out for Great Admiral, because I think he's the big improver to come out of this race. Nice type. I
think you'd have to say too that California Prince, just looking at it again there, he came through, he was given every chance, quickened at the top of the straight. Canaan got into him, but I think he just looked like a horse who would be so much better for the run.
Yes, Robin, it was the absolute classic case of a horse running first time out. He was put right into the race. He's run a lot better than his finishing position actually suggests. He was riding the firing line, looked a possible winner 300 metres out, but then that lack of really hard racing condition
really doesn't it just
there's no substitute for that one race.
For him. Absolutely.
He will improve a heap for this.
Yeah. He's worked the place down, he's trialled, he's done everything, but if you haven't got a hard race under your belt, well, you can't do it, particularly in this sort of company as well, where it's really good horses. Right, let's check the dividends for the final event tonight, and the winner was number 4 Cadbridge, who jumped at 4 to 1. He was the second favourite, trained by Laurie Fines, double for him, ridden by Darren Gauci, 44.80, 18.20. Second was number 2 Wonderful World, who was at 50 to 1, John Marshall, 78.70, and third number 5 Peace Gallery, 9 to 2, Gerald Mosse, $20.90. The Quinella 4 and 2, which was Cadbridge and Wonderful World, paid $1,221.30. The tierce in the race paid $8,740. And we still have to come, well, some of the exotic dividends. I think, well, with a little bit of luck, we might be able to squeeze them in. We've gone about, well, in fact, we've only got a couple of minutes to go, but we might at least get to the last double and the treble as well. We're just looking back on the meeting, and really, I think the overriding factor that comes out of it is it's just absolutely great to be back racing again. It's been a very blank month. And I think not a bad little meeting in which to recommence proceedings, Lawrence, really.
No, and we've seen some nice runs. We've seen that English horse run. You know, very promising sort of race there. We've got Great Admiral horses to follow for the future, a meeting to look back on and see where we went wrong, and well, hopefully for a good number of you out there, just see where you went right and have a bit of spending money for Christmas.
And I think really, for as far as Patrick Bianco and Gerald Mosse are concerned, a very worthwhile evening indeed. As in fact we mentioned, I think earlier, really it's not been a great season really for the French team so far, but that break, despite the fact that they really had the virus quite badly, well, I think it must have done some of them good, because their horse is really running right up to form tonight. And in fact, in the last race, Peace Gallery finishing third, so they only had 3 starters, 2 winners and a third. You couldn't complain about that for a night's work either.
I'd say King Prawn Robin would be a pretty decent horse, you know.
I reckon just the way he did that, I mean, you bear in mind too that he wasn't really set for that race as we know. I mean, to come out and do it as well as he did there, I think you'd have to say yes as well. Octagon Star, of course, that was the form there that mattered, wasn't it? And to that it mattered Deerfield.
Yeah,
as well.
and just looking at King Prawn there, he's developed into a nice horse. I'd say, Robin, he'd have a future in Class 2 as well.
That's King Prawn. Well, he's another one to look forward to. Of course, they're also in fact got another break of 8 days before the traditional Chinese New Year meeting back here at Happy Valley. And I think really again there, Lawrence, will still be racing basically with horses who have not actually been affected by the virus.
Yeah, I imagine there'll be just one or two. Golden Luck, he ran pretty well today, as did Speedway. They were the two horses who officially had been treated for the virus. I think with these two horses it was just mild symptoms, but at least in these two examples it does show that horses haven't been lastingly affected by this epidemic.
And just looking at the respective tables, well, going into the Christmas break, John Moore still heads the table, the trainers' table. Derek Cruz is running second, but it really wasn't much of a night for Derek and Tony tonight.
No, but I imagine looking at the powerful ammunition they have in the yard, I think there'll be other evenings and other sharting afternoons.
And that wraps it up, I should say, on the show tonight, Racing Night Live. And it's the last one, quite obviously, before Christmas, but we'll not be getting too many breaks after the new year. I think we're racing every Wednesday right through until the end of the season. So, for better or worse, you'll be seeing plenty of us. Thanks indeed for being with us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you backed a winner. And above all, have a happy and peaceful Christmas. Good night.
Good night.
Racing Night Live was co-sponsored by Carlsberg and Carlsberg Special Brew. Win Lighter, Energizer 9-volt alkaline battery, and the all-new Toyota Corolla.